So Adi Deal has in fact left Iowa. She is entering the transfer portal, and Iowa's first 5-star since Caitlin Clark will no longer be on the team. That being said, McKenna Wilichko is going to be there. They have in fact got McKenna Wilichko next year, who I think suits the way that Jan Jensen wants to play a lot more than Adi Deal did. Adi Deal, a downhill driver in a system with zero spacing. In a system with zero spacing.
The news hit the Iowa locker room like a sledgehammer, and the reaction from the GOAT herself was nothing short of explosive. Caitlin Clark didn't just see a teammate leaving, she saw the future she built crumbling before her eyes in real time. The first 5-star recruit to join the program since Clark's own arrival just packed her bags and walked away, and the fallout is getting ugly. This wasn't just a standard transfer, it was a total abandonment of the legacy Caitlin worked so hard to establish. The silence in Iowa City has been replaced by a deafening roar of questions about what exactly is going wrong inside that facility. When the star freshman decides the grass is greener, literally anywhere else, you know the foundation is shaking to its core.
It wasn't an Ava Hayden situation where it was very clear, okay, yeah, this is going to be your team. I think that it was very clear, in my opinion, that Iowa didn't really have that much of an intention of playing a style of play to fit Adi Deal. That they wanted Adi Deal to be something she wasn't. Like, they wanted Adi Deal to be Taylor Stremlow. And Adi Deal's not very good at being Taylor Stremlow. Like, we saw glimpses of what Adi Deal can do. We saw games where Adi Deal was the only guard they created. She was the only guard.
Adi Deal was supposed to be the chosen one, the heir apparent to the throne that Caitlin Clark vacated after her legendary run. As Iowa's first 5-star signing since Clark, the expectations were astronomical from the moment she stepped onto campus. But instead of a smooth transition into the spotlight, we're witnessing a total system failure that has sent shock waves through the entire Big Ten. Adi wasn't just another player on the roster, she was the centerpiece of the post-Caitlin era, and the hope for a continued dynasty. For her to enter the transfer portal now feels like a massive betrayal to the fans who were ready to crown her the next great Hawkeye. The realization that she's gone before things even truly started is a bitter pill to swallow.
To be the star at Iowa, I think that was what was sold to her. I honestly think that was what was sold to her. That she was going to be the lead guard at Iowa. Like, I think she was expected to come in and be that starting point guard. But like, when she was, like, when Chit Chat went down and Taylor Stremlow starts playing the 1, it's like she's probably being told, look, you might not start, but you're our 6th starter. So if we lose, whoever goes down 1 through 3, you're coming in and starting. And in that scenario, she was beat out by Taylor Stremlow, and Taylor Stremlow fit the system better.
The real tragedy here isn't just the departure, but the absolute mismatch between elite talent and a coaching staff stuck in the past. Jan Jensen took the reins with a specific vision, but that vision seemingly had no room for a dynamic downhill driver like Adi Deal. The Hawkeye system has become a graveyard for modern guards who want to create their own shots and play with freedom. We're talking about a scheme with zero spacing, where guards are treated like delivery drivers for the post players. If you aren't willing to just dump the ball inside and stand in the corner, you're basically invisible in this offense. Adi saw the writing on the wall, and realized that staying at Iowa meant sacrificing her professional aspirations for a system that refused to adapt.
Taylor Stremlow fit the system better. It's as simple as that. Stremlow fit what Jan Jensen wanted to do. And I've said it the entire year that it was coming, by the way. I said it the entire year that this system just was not suited for most basketball players. The majority of basketball players, this system did not suit. And obviously, Adi Deal is one of them. If you're a modern basketball player, it would not suit you. And the fact is that they ran the triangle to start the year, which didn't suit her. And then the worst part about it is they somehow went from the triangle
Word on the street is that Adi deal was sold a dream during recruitment that quickly turned into a frustrating nightmare. She was brought in with the promise of being the lead guard, the floor general who would have the keys to the offense just like Caitlin Clark did. But when the season actually rolled around, she found herself buried on the depth chart behind players who simply fit the old-school mold better. It's one thing to compete for minutes, but it's another thing entirely to be told you're the future and then be treated like a total afterthought. You can't blame a player of her caliber for refusing to waste 2 years of eligibility sitting on a bench, while the coaching staff tries to turn her into a player she was never meant to be.
Is that they didn't try. And I think I mean this when I say this, I don't think Jan Jensen was wrong, but I also don't think Adi Deal's wrong leaving. Am I the only one that believes that? That Jan Jensen was not in the wrong for not playing Adi Deal because she didn't fit her system. And that Adi Deal isn't in the wrong at one bit for leaving. I think she was absolutely right to leave. So at the end of the day, you've only got 4 years of college. This isn't high school. You have only got 4 years of college.
The coaching staff seemingly wanted Adi Deal to be a clone of Taylor Stimmell, but that's just not who she is as a basketball player. Stimmell fits what Jan Jensen wants to do, because she plays a very specific, controlled style that prioritizes the system over individual creativity. Adi Deal is a creator, a shot maker, and someone who can break down a defense when the play calling fails. We saw glimpses of what she could do when the veterans went down, and she was often the only guard on the floor with any real shot-creating ability. But instead of leaning into that unique talent, the staff tried to force her into a box. When you try to turn a Ferrari into a minivan, don't be surprised when the driver decides to find a new team that actually knows how to shift gears.
At the end of the day, you've only got 4 years of college. This isn't high school. You have only got 4 years of college. If you waste 2 years of eligibility, if she goes back to Iowa and they play a system that doesn't suit her, she's got 2 years of eligibility left. A player who clearly was a high enough recruit that there is WNBA aspirations there. There is aspirations to go pro. Because if there's not, she would just stick it out at Iowa. And the only thing I'll say is that, the only way that she would leave if she has aspirations of going pro.
The tactical shift at Iowa has been baffling to everyone watching from the outside, including the former stars of the program. They started the year running a version of the triangle offense that didn't suit Adi Deal at all. And then things somehow got even worse. They transitioned into an offense that offered even less freedom for the guards, effectively neutering anyone with a high basketball IQ. The job of the guard became incredibly simple: pass the ball to the bigs, or get subbed out immediately. There was no room for error, and zero room for the kind of Logo 3 flair that made Iowa famous. It's a rigid, robotic way to play the game that is driving away the very recruits they need to stay relevant in the national conversation.
The right decision for you. And even if you're an Iowa fan, I don't think Iowa are losing anything. Unpopular opinion, I think it's a bigger loss for Iowa. I think the fact that they were never able to get a what was her name? Oh my god, I just blanked on her name. The guard, she hooped in preseason. She was gone. She got suspended. I am blanking on her name. Emily Rodriguez. I don't know why. I just had it in my...
Caitlin Clark's frustration supposedly stems from the fact that the program is moving away from the positionless basketball that made them a powerhouse. She proved that when you give elite players the freedom to make plays, the entire team wins. Now, it feels like the coaching staff is terrified of that freedom, and wants to go back to a traditional, stagnant style of play. Losing the only 5-star recruit since Clark is a massive red flag that the culture is shifting in the wrong direction. If the person who literally put the program on the map is losing her mind over these decisions, the fans should be terrified. This isn't just about one player leaving, it's about the identity of Iowa basketball being stripped away in favor of a safe, boring system.
McKenna Willichko is going to be good, yeah. You see those bullshit passes that Hannah Stuckey kept trying to force to Ava Hayden because she was scared to shoot the mid-range? Yeah, if you've ever watched McKenna Willichko play, like I watched McKenna Willichko's team play against whoever the number one recruit is, the guard that's unbelievable. And McKenna's team lost, I think, was it overtime or double overtime? They kind of blew the game. But like McKenna Willichko's not a flashy player, but she's one of those players that will give you a quiet 16 and 8 a night.
The coaching staff tried to pacify Adi Deal by telling her she was the sixth starter, a classic line used to keep talented players from leaving. They told her that if anyone in the starting lineup went down, she would be the first person called upon to lead. But when those opportunities actually arose, she was still being beat out by players like Taylor Stimmell, who simply followed the rules better. It became clear that being the most talented player on the floor didn't matter as much as being the most compliant player. For a high-level recruit with WNBA aspirations, that kind of environment is toxic. You don't get to the pro level by being a role player who is afraid to take a mid-range jumper because the coach might pull you. While Iowa is trying to spin this by highlighting the arrival of McKenna Willichko, the fans aren't buying it. Willichko is a solid player, the kind who will give you a quiet 16 points and 8 rebounds without making any waves. She's exactly what Jan Jensen wants, someone who does the little things and won't challenge the system. But solid players don't win national championships, superstars do. By choosing the safe player over the star player, Iowa is effectively lowering their ceiling for the next 4 years. They are settling for being a good team in the Big Ten rather than a great team on the national stage. It's a move that signals a lack of ambition that has to be driving a competitor like Caitlin Clark absolutely insane. The most concerning part of this entire situation is how avoidable it all seemed to be for the coaching staff. You don't recruit a 5-star talent just to let them rot on the bench or force them into a role that highlights their weaknesses. There was a world where the system could have been tweaked to accommodate both the veteran post players and a dynamic guard like Adi, but the staff made a choice to stick to their guns. And now they are paying the ultimate price in the transfer portal. It's a recurring theme we've seen lately, where coaches would rather lose a game their way than win a game by adapting to their players. This rigidness is exactly why the portal is overflowing with talent that feels undervalued and misunderstood. Let's be real about the situation. If you're a modern basketball player with any kind of flair, Iowa is no longer the place for you. The current system is designed for a very specific type of athlete, and if you don't fit that narrow definition, you're going to struggle. We saw it with other players throughout the season, who looked like shells of themselves while trying to follow the strict guidelines. The offense has become so predictable that even mid-tier teams are starting to figure out how to shut it down. When your only plan is to force-feed the post, you become very easy to defend. Adi Deal saw that she was being set up to fail, and she made the business decision to protect her future before it was too late. There was another warning sign earlier in the year that everyone seemed to ignore until now. The situation with Emily Rodriguez, the guard who was hooping in the preseason before mysteriously vanishing, was a major red flag. There was a lack of buy-in from multiple talented players, suggesting that the issues in the locker room go much deeper than just one transfer. Rodriguez had that relentless, head-down-to-the-basket mentality that actually could have worked if the coaching staff had embraced it. Instead, she was sidelined, and the team moved toward a more conservative approach. It's a pattern of behavior from the leadership that suggests they are more interested in control than they are in explosive, winning basketball. Even the players who stayed are clearly struggling with the lack of spacing and the forced nature of the offense. We've watched Hannah Stuckey try to force passes that weren't there, because she was seemingly scared to take a mid-range shot. When your star post players are hesitant because they don't trust the floor balance, the entire offense grinds to a halt. It's a ripple effect that starts with the guards and ends with everyone looking confused on the court. Adi Deal was the one person who could have fixed that spacing by being a threat from the perimeter and on the drive, and by losing her, Iowa has doubled down on a style of play that is becoming increasingly obsolete in the high-scoring era of women's hoops. The transfer portal has changed the game, and Iowa is learning the hard way that you can't treat elite recruits like they are lucky to be there. In the nil era, these players are essentially professionals, and they expect to be put in positions where they can maximize their value. If a player like Adi Deal doesn't see a path to the WNBA through your program, she's going to find a coach who will give her that path. It's not about loyalty anymore, it's about career development. The fact that Iowa couldn't convince their biggest recruit in years to stay for more than one season is a damning indictment of their current pitch. Caitlin Clark knows better than anyone what it takes to reach the next level, and seeing a talent like Adi walk away has to be heartbreaking. She spent years building Iowa into a destination for the best players in the country. Now, in the blink of an eye, that reputation is being tarnished by internal conflicts and a refusal to modernize. Every time a five-star recruit leaves, it sends a message to every other high school star that Iowa might not be the place to go if you want to be a superstar. Some people are arguing that Jan Jensen wasn't wrong for sticking to her system, but that's a narrow way of looking at leadership. A great coach fits the system to the players they have, not the other way around. If you have a five-star guard who can break down any defender, you find a way to let her do that. You don't tell her to stand in the corner and wait for a pass that's never coming. Adi Deal isn't in the wrong for leaving, she's actually being incredibly smart. She only has 4 years of college eligibility, and wasting even one of those years in a system that suppresses her talent is a massive risk. She's betting on herself, and honestly, everyone should be applauding that move. The internal frustration at Iowa is reportedly boiling over, with players feeling the pressure of trying to live up to the Caitlin Clark era while being held back by the new regime. It's a weird dynamic where they are expected to win like the old team, but play like a team from the 1990s. This disconnect is creating a lot of tension in the locker room, and Adi Deal's departure might just be the tip of the iceberg. If things don't change quickly, we could see a mass exodus of talent that would set the program back a decade. We also have to talk about the players who were starting over Adi and why that was such a slap in the face. When you have Kylie Feuerbach and Taylor Stimmell taking minutes away from a five-star recruit, there's going to be friction. Both are serviceable players, but they don't have the it factor that changes the trajectory of a program. Seeing them get the nod while you're stuck on the bench would make any competitive player start looking for the exit. It wasn't an even playing field, it was a system designed to favor the safe options over the high-upside stars. If Adi Deal had stayed and played another year in this system, her draft stock would have plummeted. Pro scouts want to see guards who can handle the ball under pressure, create their own looks, and navigate complex defenses. They don't want to see someone whose only job is to entry pass to a big. By leaving now, she gives herself the chance to go to a program that will actually showcase her skills for the WNBA. Whether she lands at a powerhouse or a smaller school that will let her run the show, she's doing what's best for her future. Iowa fans might be hurt, but they should understand that this is a business decision made by a player who knows her own worth. The loss of Adi Deal also highlights a major recruiting failure for the Hawkeyes. They spent so much time and energy landing her, only to let her walk out the door because they couldn't manage the relationship. It's one thing to lose a player to a bigger nil deal, but losing a player because they simply don't like the way you play basketball is much harder to fix. It suggests a fundamental breakdown in communication between the coaching staff and the players. As the dust settles on this transfer, the big question is, who is next? If a five-star recruit like Adi Deal doesn't feel safe at Iowa, then nobody on that roster should feel comfortable. The coaching staff needs to do some serious soul-searching and figure out if they want to be a program that develops elite talent, or a program that just follows a rigid system. Caitlin Clark's legacy is on the line, and right now, the people in charge are failing to protect it. At the end of the day, Adi Deal's departure is a wake-up call that the Iowa program desperately needed. You can't live off the fumes of the Caitlin Clark era forever. You have to evolve and give the next generation a reason to stay. If the coaching staff continues to prioritize a restrictive system over elite individual talent, they will continue to see their stars walk out the door. The game is changing, and those who don't adapt are destined to be left behind. We can only hope that this explosive moment leads to real change in Iowa City, or the house that Caitlin built might just come crashing down for good.